any other points or motions on the floor? Senator Rubio.
Motion to open policy round with speaking time of 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Okay. All those in favor? Yep. This motion clearly passes.
We are a nation of laws. We have estimated 11 million illegal immigration living and working in the U.S. and tens of thousands of unaccompanied minors crossing our borders.
77% of everybody in the agricultural business are immigrants. And the agricultural business makes $785.8 billion per year. Now, what would happen if you took away those immigrants? The agricultural business would fail. And I'm not only talking about the agricultural business. What about other businesses such as manufacturing and construction? Those businesses also have a large population of illegal immigrants.
They are doing us a crime. They are coming across the border illegally. Illegal being the operative word. That is illegal, so you cannot do it, which means they should be deported.
They should be in our country with a significantly longer waiting period to allow them to assimilate into our society and to better be of assistance to the United States.
Illegal immigrants should have a fee, but it should be over a period of time when they get a job. The whole reason they came into our country is because they needed our help. They needed our help in some way, whether it was jobs or education. So we want to return that, but since they broke our law and immigrating illegally, they should pay a fee. If they came here illegally, that means that they didn't think that they could have got a visa if they tried for one. And why would we want people like that in our country?
Okay, overall, both the Greek Cypriots and the Turkish Cypriots will have the same amount of power. It's just per person. Since there are less people in northern Cyprus, they'll eat per person, they will have more power.
I would like to see these ideas discussed. Voting, length of presidential terms, and the power of the vice president.
This passes.
There is no chance that the Turkish votes would even count. If there's a unanimous decision by the Republic of Cyprus, it is guaranteed that that bill will pass.
You are all working towards the same goal for a unified Cyprus and peace and stability in this region. So we should put our differences aside and focus on what is important, which is coming to a decision and having this negotiation be successful.
We should have a moderating caucus that just focuses on the representation of people in the Republic of Cyprus.
For 3 years, the Greek Cypriot president will be president, while the Turkish president will be vice president.
I feel like there was still some confusion of the whole representation thing, so I drew a diagram. So these pieces of paper are the exact same size. This is representing equal power. And you can notice here that there are 4 times more dots here. And this is on this piece of paper. And this is representing the Greek Cypriot community.
Just because we're a minority doesn't mean that we should be discriminated in the federal government.
In terms of voting, the Turkish Cypriots will elect 2 candidates for the position, and then the whole country could vote as a whole on which one to pick.
And I think that this would work because neither side would be able to elect a president without the fair share. The other side agreeing to it, but at the same time, per capita, everyone is getting the same representation.
Okay, allows veto power for both the president and the vice president of Cyprus.
3. Reaffirms that the structure of the bicameral legislature will continue to be implemented. A. The House of Representatives shall have 59 seats, split proportionally according to population.
This is overall a great resolution that will further both of our constituent states' economic futures greatly, and I urge you all to vote for this resolution. Thank you.
If we rescue the hostages, a lot more people are going to get killed. Paying for the hostages will only give ISIS more funds and more motivation to capture more hostages.
We could always send Iraqi and Syrian soldiers to go get the hostages out and give humanitarian aid, food, water, shelter to the refugees. While we can provide humanitarian aid to those refugees in refugee camps, we currently way of finding the hostages. So the United States calls upon all nations to find a solution. Thank you.
Yeah, we can help, but shouldn't they be the main ones that are actually combating this instead of the Security Council going in to try to eliminate them?
The Iraqi and Syrian governments are definitely not fit to fight against ISIS all by themselves, even with training.
It's not the people who are forced out of their country that is why we're discussing ISIS right now. It is the violent, very public beheadings that brought it to the world's attention.
ISIS currently holds 2 British civilians in custody and has already executed 1. So of course we would like to rescue the 2 who are still alive. However, we believe that a resolution could address both topics very adequately.
I think everybody feels a little bit less secure, and I think it's obviously a priority to get these hostages out.
Bashar al-Assad has been launching chemical weapons on his people.
Apparently ISIS is inspiring Boko Haram and basically giving him a push on raining more terror on Nigeria.
The Iraqi government has actually asked for our help, and therefore we will be sending military advisors to Iraq to combat the Islamic State.
Jordan, in fact, can only spare 5,000 troops at the moment, but we believe that if used correctly, we can fight off IS for 2 months.
So let's not lose fear, and let's remember that our armies will be able to defeat ISIS.
It is actually of utmost importance that the troops from Jordan and Nigeria do not completely eradicate ISIS, as we wish for the Iraqi forces to do that themselves, as this is and will be their battle to solve in the end.
We believe that with the United Kingdom and United States training, the Iraqi military forces will be much more stronger and be able to combat future potential ISIS, if you will.
Even if we physically eradicate IS, then their ideas and their idols will still be out there. And if their ideas are still out there, then they could spring up again.
Thank you, Delegate. With that, our moderating caucus has elapsed.
Don't split a settlement in half.
No, not split settlement in half, but if you have like say.
First, a 5-minute moderating caucus, 30-second speaking time on Hamas. All those in favor?
Hamas is a threat to our people. They have been taking and killing innocent Israeli citizens, and they need to be stopped.
They do not fight for freedom. They do not fight for their people. They fight against Israel's right to exist.
The blockade of the Gaza Strip is causing desperation in the lives of Palestinians.
We have this blockade to prevent Hamas. If you deal with Hamas internally, then we very well may not need this blockade.
If my dad was associated with Hamas, that doesn't mean I am. That doesn't mean that the entire family is.
We are not the same as Hamas. Though some of the things that they may be fighting for are similar to what we are fighting for, what we are interested in is reaching a political solution.
This blockade is to ensure that Hamas isn't getting the resources that it needs to continue to grow, to continue to threaten the Palestinian and the Israeli people. This humanitarian aid can come from many, many locations.
Yes, it ensures that Hamas won't have the resources it needs, but it also ensures over 2.5 million people living there that they don't get the food and water and necessities that they need to survive.
The blockade was put out to ensure the security, and we realize what it has been causing. So we will remove the blockade, but we don't want our people getting hurt further.
I don't think we're ever going to shut down Hamas completely, but we do need to find a solution to keep them from committing more acts of terrorism.
The United States thinks that there should be aid to the civilians in the Gaza Strip. Furthermore, we have donated $212 million in aid for the civilians.
Not only did the United States donate money to the Gaza Strip, we donated $1 billion.
Are you sure that all $1 billion of your dollars went to the people who are trying to survive in that region, or maybe to the terrorist group that you support?
Hamas does have to be destroyed. Their principles are fundamentally wrong.
I agree, we do have to destroy Hamas, but it's not going to be that easy. And the Gaza blockade has been killing thousands of people.
These innocent civilians are being killed because they have insufficient resources because of your impenetrable blockade.
If we take down the Gaza blockade, Hamas will come into Israel and kill even more people.
The eradication of Hamas could take years and years and years. How can we deprive innocent civilians of the basic supplies that they need?
We would need to find another way to defend against Hamas, and until that defense is found, the Gaza blockade is the only option we have.
We have as much religious significance in the city of Jerusalem as the Jews.
All those opposed?
I put in grants Israel the sixth largest settlements by population. In this area, you will see that Palestine actually is not near the water sources. It is mostly in Israeli territory. Therefore, it is fair solution that Israel gains more water.
That is cruel. That is like saying you can't give water to Kansas because they're not near any water sources.
If we gave you any more, we wouldn't have enough water to supply for our citizens.
Water needs to be taken from other places so that it's not so unequal between Palestine and Israel.
If you're going to start thinking about supplying water from outside water sources or pipelines, we should start thinking about where we are going to do this from.
More water could be taken from desalination plants so that aquifers could be shared more equally with the Palestinian Authority. We only get a small portion of our water from desalination plants.
Is it right that some Palestinians are getting 9 times less water than the average Israeli?
You're already breaking laws from the settlements, and another plan is just too much.
Israel has to understand that Palestinians and Israelis have equal priority.
It is not exactly completely unfair that Israel is prioritizing their own civilians.
Yes, we do have more water, but we do have a larger population.
Israel's economy is far larger and more advanced and therefore needs more water.
You've already been donated great sums of money from the United States, Qatar, and the European Union, and you need to learn to be self-reliant.
1. The duties of the third party would pertain to security and maintaining international law. C. If Israelis are still inhabiting the settlements on Palestinian land after the period of time allocated to dismantle the settlements, they will fall under Palestinian authority.
The agreement that is currently being proposed is completely bound by faith in Israel, which at this moment we don't have.